Perception can be subdivided into two categories: exteroception and interoception. The first one describes the perception of our environment using the five senses of vision, sound, taste, smell, and touch. Interoception is the perception of oneself through proprioception, the awareness of the position and movement of the body, and visceroception, the awareness of organs and their activities. In reality, these senses don't work individually. Interoception and exteroception are constantly combined to estimate, calculate, and adapt every single one of our actions. If they weren't, grabbing a cup of coffee would be as complicated as landing on the moon. Therefore, developing a kinetic consciousness of some sort is critical to our existence. From the beginning of our lives, we learn and build this conscience. But it's easy to forget about this very primal part of our experience. One reason for this is that we don't verbalize so much of this process. And why should we? Because we already understand what we can do, right? Another reason is that we use our kinetic capabilities to solve more complex problems. And as we concentrate on these problems, we learn and adapt on the fly. A baby doesn't learn to stand up and walk by reading about it, or by listening to the ridiculous babbling of its ancestors. And just because it cannot put its struggle into words, we wouldn't doubt its human experience. And the same goes for people with different disadvantages. We even empathize with other species, some more than others. And this is not just projection or anthropomorphism. We genuinely understand their experience, to the degree that our corporeal intelligence is able to imagine. If you were able to walk today, chances are you had to figure it out yourself, probably long before you could conceptualize it verbally. When you watch a baby learning how to walk, does this in any way look easy to you? Like something pre-installed, that just needs to be unpacked? Or that is simply predispositioned? If you have to literally figure out yourself how to stand up and walk, shouldn't we think of corporeal activity as something intellectual? Movement is no more predestined than our language, or our personality. We do, and through doing we become. Culture is an influencing factor. But ultimately culture is defined by agency, not the other way round. So why do we tend to neglect our kinetic experience in everyday life? It's not like we are deliberately ignoring it, or that we would be completely unaware of it. More like we just forgot about it. More like having a highly sophisticated device and not using most of its features. Is it because the environment that we created is so safe that we become numb? That we're not challenged to develop our kinetic potential? Because we live in societies that relatively overvalues linguistics, materialism, and cultural symbolism. How were we able to create this environment and society in the first place? Was it through words? Or action? And where do words originate from in the first place? How did our body play into this whole process? Did we use sticks and stones before we knew what they were called and how to use them? Why do we speak with hands and feet when we run out of words? Why do we say that we wrestle with problems? We build bridges and break up relationships. We are not just using this vocabulary that originates in kinetic experience because it illustrates beautifully what we want to express. We use it because we learn by doing, and after that we understand things in kinetic terms, spatial relationships, and a variety of kinesthetic experiences. For example, we experience grappling with another being and translated that experience later to other situations. Interoception is an individual and internal process, but it is not isolated from the environment and other entities. Your sense of your body and movement is not just a private matter of wellness. The internal and external are in constant communication. One's ability to relate to himself ultimately makes it possible to relate to others, to understand their feelings, thoughts, and words. Thinking in kinetic terms means being able to navigate and articulate yourself physically. Try making a simple hand sign behind your back. You don't need mirrors to figure out which fingers to fold and which ones to extend. You probably also didn't rely on the pressure of your fingers against the palm of your hand to estimate each finger's position. You know where your fingers are in relation to the others, and where your hand is in relation to your body. This is proprioception. Now, close your eyes. Imagine stepping into your kitchen and preparing a cup of tea. But don't imagine how it looks like, or how you would describe the process. Just imagine doing it. Pay attention to every step, to your contact with the ground, different objects, and your own body. Each reach, grab, and twist your hands need to do in the process. You can open your eyes now. This is visualization. To your brain, this virtual movement is very similar to actually moving. This is a very important point. Movement is not only physical. Movement happens in the body and in the brain. You can practice skills or play through scenarios without actually acting them out. In the end, this is as real as the numbers in your head when you calculate. So, physically or mentally, you build an understanding that is rooted in kinetic experience. By developing this vocabulary, we can evaluate the movements of others. Emojis are a great example for this. It seems like some things just can't be said with a few words. We smile when we are happy, and when we see someone smiling, we can relate directly through our own experience.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her. This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
This is why being among happy people is likely to make you feel happy. And this is why comedy without a crowd just isn't the same.
Thank you so much for seeing us. Phoebe has told us such great things about you guys. Oh, please, we're happy to help.
We went through the same thing when we were adopting.
So, a lot of malfunctioning wee-wees and hoo-hoos in this room, huh?
The word play induces a range of possibilities and a certain degree variability within this range. So it is a very broad term that can be applied to many things. Games are certainly one aspect of playing. Games create certain scenarios by setting an objective and limiting the possibilities by rules. However, these limitations often open up new opportunities, for they require the participant to come up with creative solutions that would not be necessary otherwise. So all sports are games of some sort. But using this framework, traffic can be a game. Politics can be seen as a game. Really anything can be. A game could also be the practice of a skill set isolated from a more complex scenario in order to reduce risk and focus on the development of skills. This is how we become specialists. This is how the individual achieves the extraordinary, through practice. And this is how a big and complex society functions, through specialization, transfer of knowledge, and combined efforts. Play can also be a simulation. Like a theater simulates a personal experience for the spectators to watch from the outside without having to actually engage in the drama. Or the simulation of possible events to develop strategies or evaluate reactions. Or the simulation of an entirely fictive event that is not bound to the rules of physical reality. And then there are more open games. Games without a clearly defined goal, that are not necessarily performed for an audience and without any obvious incentive. But what happens here is not random, is not uncontrolled arbitrary behavior. It is creativity in its rawest form. There are many aspects to playing itself. Different physical qualities, like balancing or coordination, or calculation and strategizing. Some games directly impact life outside of it. And then there's the emotional aspect of games. For example, the confrontation with real risks. Playing is serious business. But for everyone, not only for children, gamblers and professionals. It's not just about what you can win at the end, but what you can learn during the process. That's why children like to play, and why it is so serious to them. They want to express their potential, but they are just not able yet. So they practice every day. Because being unable is a suffocating experience. Adults know this very well. But many forgot how to grow, and instead learn how to rationalize and find all sorts of external reasons for their situation. So while playing can be exciting and fun, it can also be challenging, frightening and frustrating. But it doesn't matter, because playing is about more than our first emotional response. Success is what we thrive for, but failure is where we learn the most. Challenge is the place where we grow. So play more. And play seriously.